to the now Thursday Build Show. This is an extension from the Mega Build-A-Thon that we were doing yesterday. We got through a couple of the lengthy builds yesterday, and now we have one of the other two lengthy builds that we're going to be doing today. So first up, number 3, technically, from this massive Mega Build-A-Thon, we do have this awesome Intel i9 RTX 4090 build that we're going to be doing today in a white Fantex G500A case with some additional white features as well. So we're going to try to keep it as white and crisp as possible for this build. So we're going to be building on a Z590P Wi-Fi motherboard. We've got a 1000 watt power supply, the Intel i9 13900K with all of its insane cores and threads. 32 threads. It's just disgusting. It's a big processor. We've got an LGA 1700 contact plate by Thermalright, some power supply extension cables to add to the white flavor, a rear fan, the MF140, but the Z790, just starting on that, is going to be the Pro Series, Z790P Wi-Fi. We're going to be using DDR5, 32 gigabytes, DDR5, 6000 megahertz by Team Group. This is the T-Force Delta kit, and I believe this is CL30, if I remember correctly. Yes. So we've got some really good timing on this RAM, as well as a 2TB M.2 NVMe Gen 4 drive. The graphics card is an RTX 4090 by MSI. It is the Gaming Trio. It's got the big cooler with the 3 fingers. And I just realized, yes, I realized the audio is still up. Sorry. Yeah, it says drowning me out. That happens to me every now and then because I leave the music up for the intro and then I never turn it back down. Happens to me a lot. Anyway, recap. Intel i9 13900K. We got a Pro Z790P Wi-Fi by MSI. We've got an MSI RTX 4090 gaming trio. We've got 32 gigabytes, 216 gig sticks of DDR5, 6000 megahertz CL30, and this is T-Force Delta by Team Group. We've got a 2TB M.2 NVMe Gen 4 and a master fan for the rear of the case, which is an MF140 Halo. So again, we're using that MF fan again. Sheesh, what a nut unit. Yes, this is a powerhouse. You really can't get much better than this. We've got an LGA 1700 contact plate for the CPU and a LS720WH, which just stands for white, but it's the Deep Cool LS720 with 3 addressable RGB fans. PWM, great pump on that unit, so it's going to keep this, well, try to keep this i9 tame. My dream right there. Yeah, this is also the local customer's dream as well. This system is just an amazing build. We're also supplying the monitor, keyboard, mouse, headset, the whole setup. So the only thing we're not supplying is a desk and a chair at this point. So the entire setup is included all in one package. The case we're building in is a Fantex G500. So back here behind all this, you'll see the white case. It's going to be in a nice white theme going. That's going to be a good rig. Yes, sir. It's going to be a high-end rig. So we're going to be building this one today, and then one more for kind of an office-ish PC, but he wanted cool and horsepower. So we're putting that together today too. Next. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start with the motherboard, RAM, the SSD, the CPU, and the contact plate. The rest of this crap's going to get moved off the table. I wouldn't call this stuff crap, though. It is far from it. So let's get you a top-down view. Here we go. Don't need the power supply right now. Don't need the cables, the cooler, video card. Don't need the back fan yet. Rear fan. The case can kind of just chill here, I guess. Or is that kind of distracting? Come forth, microphone. Can't wait to see it. Same here, man. Same here. It's gonna look pretty badass when it's done. We'll just move that out of the way. So you can see I cut the box when I was opening the box that this arrived in. Oops. Need that guy. Rest of that can stay in. Right on. This is the Z790P by MSI. It's got some good VRMs on it for this Intel i9. So let's start with the CPU and the contact plate, I guess. That's where we should start. So we're going to open this bad boy up. Comes in a beautiful little package. I like to just put these packages back together. They're like trophies. There. Alright, so we're going to be removing these the stock contact plates here, or the brackets. But we're going to drop the CPU into the pins. We're into the socket first, so it helps protect the pins. So I don't accidentally bend a pin. Would highly recommend that. So now that my pins are covered up and protected, I'm going to open up our contact plate here, which is by Thermalright. It's about $10 on Amazon. And it makes about a 10 degrees Celsius difference by running the contact plate versus not, with these bigger or larger Intel CPUs. So I recommend, highly recommend, if you're running an LGA 1700 socket, you run these contact plates. And for 10 bucks, it's well worth it. So now what I'm going to do is remove the stock brackets here. We don't really want to move the board after we've loosened these screws, because there's a back plate that I don't want to move, which is already lined up for the holes that I'm going to rethread to. I'm going to collect my screws. Got all 4 of them. Put this aside. And then this contact plate, which is just a piece of metal, we're dropping in over the CPU here. Dropping our screws in. And tightening it down. As I've mentioned probably a million times before, Gamers Nexus has a really good tutorial on how to put these on. I've just gotten really good at it. I've done so many of them. Welcome everybody to the stream. Glad my intro was completely drowned out, because I forgot to turn the music down. It's hard to be like a producer slash host all at the same time. I'm not very good at it. I'm sorry. I'll get better, I promise. I promise. Alright, so off to the RAM, because we have our CPU completely mounted, ready to go. That bracket is now holding that bad boy in there. Nice and tight. Wish the camera would... There you go. Holding it in there nice and tight. So let's get this DDR5 RAM installed. We got some really good timing on these too, which was crazy. CL30. Hard to get the CL30 for a decent price. The majority of the RAM out there, like, that people buy is around CL36. This is Intel XMP 3.0 ready. Got your little Intel XMP certificate here. Yeah. That's what you want to buy if you're working with Intel. Probably less of an issue nowadays, but was definitely an issue back when DDR5 was recently released. Love my PC that you built me. So happy with it. Awesome. Love to hear that. Is everything running good for you? I've got a couple more builds that I got to do here leading into the weekend. So we'll probably go live again tomorrow or Saturday. I was hoping to do all of them today and yesterday, but parts didn't show up in time. So I was trying to cram as much as I could in. And I actually got pretty burnt out yesterday, really quick. Because I do all of this standing up. Probably should get a chair. And then I also had some people show up for support on PCs I didn't build, which was kind of cool. Like, one person bought a family member's custom PC that they built, and couldn't connect it to the internet because they didn't have Wi-Fi in the PC. So they needed Wi-Fi. Even though I recommend using the Ethernet cable as much as possible with your gaming PC, Wi-Fi was the only option for them. And I just so happen to have an inventory of AX3000, which is Wi-Fi 6 PCIe cards for situations like that, and was able to get them hooked up and out the door in like 15 minutes. It was cool, and they were super happy about that and stoked because they were able to use that PC today or yesterday. When they were really bummed, they found out they couldn't connect it, and they called and they were like, "Hey, what do we do?" I'm like, "Bring it over and I'll have it done in 15-20 minutes. So I installed the card, installed the drivers, tested, and it's now working. So we've got our RAM, our SSD, and our CPU all ready to go. So now, with that 2 terabyte, 32 gigs, and i9 13900K installed, we can actually get the cooler and the brackets out for the socket. Come on. It's perfect. Awesome. Perfect is a big word for gaming PCs. Come on, let go. All right, I'm just gonna get all this out because we're gonna be dealing with this here in a minute anyway. There's our cooler, our radiator, AIO pump. So we need that guy. And that. We will also need that and that. The rest of this, not really needed for AMD. We will need those for the pump. With that. That's 15 blah blah socket. Don't need that. LGA 1700, we have to extend these little studs. And then we are ready to put this in with the Intel logo facing up. Because I'm just a fanatic of perfection. Not cool. Alright, so we got our bracket in there, ready to go. So now we're pretty much ready to get the case up here and start dismantling the case. Hold this. Thank you. Ah. All right. Flip that bad boy over. It's white! One of these studs was digging into this box here. Tried tearing it up. Need that. Alright, let's put this guy on, and then we are dropping this motherboard in there. Nice. Fits like a glove. This is always a pretty case to build in. It's so white. So much white. It's so bright. I always like this one. It's also really easy to work in too, because there's so much space. Unless you're just trying to get greedy and cram a radiator fan sandwich up there, which is push-pull with 6 fans. Then it can get a little tight. A little tight. I like this song. It's cool. You know, kind of cool vibes. Okay. So now that we got the board installed, CPU, RAM, SSD, we are ready to start connecting stuff to the motherboard. Put this rear fan in, get the EPS cables in, and then mount that AIO. I'm going to do all that before I mount that AIO because it kind of helps with the space. Once you put that thing in there, it becomes a little difficult to reach everything. Not bad, but just a little easier on yourself if you do it this way. And this is the MF140, so it's a 140 millimeter addressable RGB fan by Cooler Master in white, and it's the halo, so it's got a little halo ring on it as well, so it looks kind of cool. It's a really nice looking fan. The bearings are really nice, so they last a long time. Good quality fan if you need one. They're not cheap though. They're like around $25 each. Or you can get like a pack of 3 for some other insane price. But they are super nice, and they go very well with this case. Keep dropping stuff. I'll show you what I mean by how this fan blends really nicely with this particular case. Once we have it fired up with the RGB, it just blends well. If I could run these fans throughout the entire build, man, this thing would pop. But I mean, you're talking like an extra probably $150, $200 in fans to fill it out with just these fans. So one day I'll do it. But I always go performance first. EPS cable time. Just kind of working our way around. So we need EPS. That's PCIe, EPS, EPS. Alright, tabs down. So I'm putting these cable combs on these EPS cables, and then I will shove them in that hole and plug those in so they're there. Before we put the AO in, kind of helps speed up the process a little bit by doing it this way. So you don't have to fight it. It's just a smarter way to do it. And we have 2 of these. These are just power supply extension cables. These are sleeved and they come with cable combs. They're about $25 or so for the kit. Nice, relatively cheaper piece that kind of helps the PC pop a little bit. Throw some flavor in it. The other option is to buy a white power supply with white power supply cables, but usually they're not sleeved unless it's a super high-end power supply. And the other option, again, of course, is to go to Cable Mod and buy your own custom cables to exact lengths that you need, and pick the exact colors that you want. Always the other option. Alright, I may as well just do the 24 pin since I'm sitting here staring at it. One more cable comb for this thing. All right. There we are. 24 pin in. And our EPS is in. So, now we're going to switch over to cables for the motherboard from the case. Got a few here. One being an RGB connection, one being a PWM connection. USB-C, USB 3. We know the USB 3 is going to end up there. We just need to loosen these a little bit so we can move them around. USB 3 is going to be up here. USB, or this is HD audio, is going to be down here. Power connection, or power button, rather. And that one's going to be right in here. Just want to untangle it. Get in that hole. This USB-C going up here as well with the USB 3. And then really all we have is a addressable RGB connection and a PWM fan connection, which I need to confirm where those are on the bottom of the board. I can't remember shit anymore. There we are. So we got a PWM fan connection down here. That's system fan 5 and 4. We got system fan 6 here. We got a bunch of system fans up here. We would want to put that on system fan like 1 or 2. This could be 2, these could be 1. System fan 1 is way up here, so we'll probably put him on 1 and these on 2, which is this guy. Then we have our pump and our CPU fans. So we'll have all 4 of these filled out up here at the top. Not too shabby. I'll stick that guy through there. We need to rerun this guy. Actually, let's just do that. This guy, pull this guy through, reroute it to the top. This guy, I think we had RGB. Right there. We'll just come through the bottom. That'll do. And then we'll probably throw a zip tie on this just to keep it nice and neat. There we go. So the only thing we really have to plug in up here is our CPU fans and pump, which we have the cables here for. Pump is actually on the pump. I lied a little bit about that. There we go. So, pretty much ready to throw this radiator in here. So let's go ahead and tackle that. So we're going to be installing it like so. We want our cables on this side. So when I rotate it down, it's going to be facing me. The cable direction. And these are daisy chains, so there's a lot less cable management for this radiator, or AO. Makes it a little easier and a little cleaner on the backside. We have the fan set up for exhaust. So we're exhausting out the top of the case. And then this connection here is going to be going to that pump for the RGB on the pump. So it'll daisy chain all the way to the pump. Pretty cool. These fans are FC120s by Deepcool. They are PWM addressable RGB, 120 millimeters. Some decent bearings on them, so they'll last a long time, especially being in the horizontal position on the radiator. There we are. That's pretty much all the cables that we're going to stick through the back is two. One here. And one here. Not much to it. All right, ready to mount. See how easy that was? Whereas past radiators, you know, I'm sitting here fighting for my life for like 10 minutes. Not really, but fighting with all those cables anyway. Gets a little stressful. You always have to be careful with that. If you slip a screwdriver here on the radiator, you will bend a fin. Don't really want to bend a fin. It's not gonna like kill it or anything, but it's just gonna make the airflow difficult in that one little area. Alright, so now we'll flip this down. Now that we have that mounted, we're gonna peel this off and wipe the thermal paste off of this, because we're gonna be using Thermal Grizzly. So that's pre-applied paste. We're not going to be using that. We're going to use Top Shelf Thermal Grizzly. It's the premium stuff. All right. We just got to get these brackets installed. Go. So we got our brackets on there, but now we just need our paste, which we're using Thermal Grizzly, as always. We're going to do a X pattern with a few dots on the side. So even if it's too much space or paste, which I think it is a little bit, it'll bleed over onto that contact plate, help keep the CPU pretty clean. Minus the surface, which is where we want thermal paste. So there we go. We're just gonna stick this down and on our CPU, and then use these little Phillips driven thumb nuts to hold it down. And we'll tighten it down with a Phillips driver. Go. Move these slightly, and we're ready to plug these in and send the other one to the back so it gets plugged in. So this is the pump and the addressable RGB for the pump. Or the block. Might need some zip ties for this to clean it up a little bit. Just gotta be careful when you're doing that with those cables. What I was just doing, which was straightening it out. Don't want to do too much of that. There we go, pump's plugged in. And this is our RGB connection, which is going to daisy chain back to those fans. Send that through, pull it through. Then, I'm going to try to zip tie this up so it's cleaned up. Trim these up and then we'll tie it down. Making it look fancy. Oh, come on. Can't believe I missed that. All right, there we go, looking clean. Clean and pristine. What do you guys think? Looking good? And really all we have is the big beast of a graphics card. And a power supply and some cable management on the back. Not too bad. For what are we, an hour in? Close to it. Pretty sure this was a three card. Might be wrong. Here it is. 4090 time. Here we go. always get nervous when I open one of these. It's only a $1,500 card. This one actually came direct from MSI. And it is definitely a 3-slot card, I believe. It's a thick boy. Holy crap. This one's heavy. Hey there, big boy. Not as many peels as I expected. Honestly. Expected more. More peels, that is. But holy crap, that is a big card. It does have a bracket. We are going to be utilizing that. I didn't buy one for it because I knew this one came with one. These ones are actually pretty damn nice. They're sturdy. Very sturdy, so they hold a lot of weight. All you got to do is put them in with the card. A little bit tricky with the bigger cards, but can be done. It's even more tricky with these little thumb nuts. Dang it. Of course that had to happen. That sucks. When you drop one of those down there, that sucks. Thankfully I got it. Without having to take the card back out. There we go. Support bracket is in with the graphics card. And damn, it's nice looking. We do have a special white cable for this guy. It's a 600 watt 16 pin cable specifically for these cards. We went white. I do have some cable combs for this as well. We're gonna try to use. One more comb. Just one more cable comb. All right, open this sucker up, stuff fits in there. There we go. Oh. Looking good, huh? Looks like a gaming PC. Alright, just gotta put this power supply in, do a little bit of cable management, and fire this bad boy up. Oh. Not too shabby. This power supply is by MSI. It is a MPG A1000G PCIe 5.0 power supply. We're going to be able to connect that cable that we just plugged into the graphics card directly into the power supply, which is what you want to do for that cable. You want to minimize as many failure points as you can on that 600 watt cable. So direct connection from the card to the power supply is extremely important, especially with 4090s, because they use a lot of power. So, it is always important that you get the right cable there in place. Oh boy. I'm probably going to install most of these cables except for PCIe. Just so we have them and they don't get lost. Almost there. Or zip ties. Always will need more. All right. Oh my gosh, so many cables. So, but it looks good. And that's what matters. We're gonna tuck this bad boy in here without squishing this guy. And run him up here. And get him plugged in. And strap him down. Then, we're gonna find a SATA cable. SATA power cable. You need to run that all the way up here. There we are. And I need one more zip tie for this. Hey Ryan, over on Facebook, thanks for the like, sir. Now our EPS cables. So these guys are going to be ran up like this and over here. I'm going to move that and tie it in here. And tie this down. Nice and neat. Like so. And the rest of these cables are just going to get bundled up in here and saved for later. Nabbit. I gotta trim these up. Right on. What do you guys think of that cable management? Clean? Before I close it up. Perfect. I mean, you can't get much better than that. Clean this mess up a little bit here. We'll get it plugged in and fired up momentarily. See what the end results look like. All right, let's switch it over to a side view. All right, y'all ready to see this thing fired up? Let's hit it. Might help to have the power switch on in the back. Hit it. Whoop. Zip tie in the way, hitting the fan. My bad. Hey, look, the capture card is going to pick it up too. There she is in all her glory. Gonna do some DDR5 RAM training or memory training. Memory training. That's a badass PC right there, guys. Badass PC. Intel i9 13900K with an RTX 4090, DDR5, 32 gigabytes of DDR5, 6000 megahertz, TL30 RAM, 2 terabyte M.2 Gen 4, a Z790 motherboard, 1000 watt power supply, 80 plus gold, PCIe 5.0, white, 140 millimeter case fans throughout, 120 millimeter fans on the radiator, 360 millimeters. This thing's a badass PC. I mean, would you look at it? But that's what I was talking about earlier about this rear 140 millimeter MF Cooler Master fan in the back. It's got the halo ring, and it goes well with the RGB accents on this case. The RGB strips. So you have one here and one on the top of the front. It goes very well with that halo fan because it has a ring. Kind of gives it the same accent. So I always like putting these MF mother fans in. They just look nice. Nice. Look at all that white. Think that's enough white? Wish I would have been able to get a white graphics card in there, but they are just so stupid expensive. Wasn't worth it. I'd rather get the performance. We would have had to go like to a 3080, or I'm sorry, a 4080 if we wanted a white card to fit in here on the budget. And I'd rather put the 4090 in there and have it a little bit off color. But I mean, it blends very nicely with the motherboard. The door, glass door. But it turned out pretty awesome. So I think I'm going to put together the next build. Move this one over to the other bench. Move on to the next one. So hang tight. It's a heavy son of a gun, too. Oh boy. Righto, let's get the next build going. This next build is going to be running a Intel i5-13600K with an LGA bracket. We're going to be running 16 gigabytes DDR4, 3200 megahertz, so 1 terabyte M.2 on a B760MA by MSI, which is a Pro Series motherboard. 650 watt power supply built into a Montech Air 100 case. This is a micro ATX motherboard for awareness. And we are running integrated graphics on this. This is more of an office PC that we're building today. So let's go ahead and get started on this bad boy. This one should not take very long at all. Like I said, anytime I'm using an LGA 1700, I am using this bracket. It's just an automatic, even for an i5 or an i3. It's just good to have, good practice to run. There we go, our LGA 1700 bracket is in place, our contact plate. We move on to the RAM, the SSD, the cooler. Slap it in the motherboard, get everything plugged in. Fire it up. Once again, this one is running integrated graphics, so it's using the UD Intel onboard graphics on this one. As we build it, we're starting out with this and then putting in a graphics card later on. Nothing too crazy. So that's why we went with the K-series Intel i5 13600K to get those cores, those threads that we need for the performance. Then we slaps a card in there, you'll have even more performance. And better graphics. But he's really not going to be doing anything too intense graphically. We have a 1TB M.2 Gen 4 by Silicon Power. It's a UD90. 2 sticks of 8 gigs. So a total of 16 gigabyte DDR4, 3200 megahertz. That's the T-Force Vulcan. And then we have a Peerless Assassin 120 SE we're going to put on here. Keep it cool. It's got 6 heat pipes, 2 120mm fans. It's actually the same cooler we used yesterday on that really micro ITX build. Super nice cooler for smaller builds. Does a really good job keeping things cool while you're in a small case and running a powerful CPU, which 3600K is, or 13600K is pretty powerful. So, recommend trying to keep it cool as cool as possible, especially if you're running integrated graphics. It's going to be running on that CPU. We want a big cooler on here. That's what we went with. Why that's so wacky. Just double check to make sure that's supposed to be pointing in. Kind of wacky. Yep, they point in. Okay. have to screw in the right spot. Easy to mess that up. The instructions mention that. Alright, so now we're ready to peel this bad boy and put our thermal grizzly cryonaut paste on there. There's our paste. And then we want our logos the right way up, though on this one it really doesn't matter. As long as the airflow is pointing the right way. At this point, there is really no right way or wrong way. Put this on. Other than getting it to bite stud. Come on. Bite. It's always handy to have a extra long screwdriver laying around when you deal with these big coolers, because when you are working on some of these coolers, especially like the Be Quiets, you're going to need a really long screwdriver to get down and in there. Some of them actually include the long screwdriver because it's an awkward size. Not something most people have laying around. But it's helpful when you're installing these types of coolers. Alright, so for the fans, I'm just going to untwist these twist ties and push the cables over that direction. And then get the little mounting clips on there. What are you growing? Back. Oh, look at it. Silly dog. Clo. I see that. Yeah. I got one fan, one of two installed. So two 120mm PWM fans on this cooler. Gonna do a really good job of keeping us in cool. Moving that airflow through those heat pipes, those fins. There we go. So two 120s installed. We have a little fan splitter that we installed earlier. Not sure if you caught that or not. But that is for the two fans. That's plugged into the CPU fan header. I'll get these actually plugged in right now before we put it in the case, because it might be a pain in the butt to do that later. And then the RGB, addressable RGB. Again, I'm going to actually probably get this plugged in now, rather than trying to deal with this later once it's in the case, because this tall cooler is going to impede my vision and ability to get down into this case or into the board. So now all I got to do is put a zip tie in here. And then pull the cables through the back. Keeps it nice and neat in a orderly, organized fashion. Go. Good to go. Now we're ready to drop this board into the case. And then it's going to be pretty quick and fast after that. He needs dinner. I haven't fed him yet. Huh? Huh? What? What about him? Yes, I know. But did you hear me, Adrian? What? Max needs dinner. I haven't fed him yet. He's been up my butt about dinner. This is the Montec Air100 Micro ATX case. It's got three 120mm fans already pre-installed. It's got a front mesh tempered glass side panel door. Super easy to work in. And is the best budget case you can build in 2023. It ports a 240mm AIO on the top of the case if you ever wanted to put one in there, which in this case we're not going to be doing, but it is always a possibility that he could do that now. Here we go. Make sure all our studs are in the right places. We are missing two. We actually need to put two in. Glad I looked. So that would have been stupid. Ha! Alright, there we go now. Now we go in with the board. Board goes in. Oh yeah, look at that bad boy in there. Put that CPU cooler on there, it's automatically just filling this thing out. Alright, motherboard mounted. So let's stuff these cables first into that hole, into the back. We can clean that up in the back there. If they fit. If it fits, it ships. There we go. Looking good. Now all we gotta do is plug in motherboard stuff. USB 3, front panel. RGB down there. System fan down there. So, oh, we just gotta plug everything in. Put the power supply in and fire it up. Dang! Might be the quickest build. Wow. I think we had a system fan on there. Yeah. I think it's gonna reach there. Go. Now we can stick this bad boy through this little teeny tiny hole. There's another system fan up there. I think that's even system fan 1. If I'm not mistaken. Then we need this guy up here too. Well. And the rest of these are all our power and resets, which is going to be down here. And then HD audio and USB 2.0 is going to be here and here. And addressable RGB. Going to be here. Flip it over and see what we got. Perfect lineup for this bad boy. Tough getting our 24 pin in there though. Needs to be 3.0 in here. Awesome. And our power switch. Hard drive LED and power LEDs. If I put the power switch in the right place, that would work. And then addressable RGB for the fans on the case. If I can see. I even have my glasses on. That's not a good sign, guys. That's not a good sign. USB 2.0. Go into the USB 2.0 header. And then our HD audio front panel connection. Right there. And there we have it. Literally everything plugged in except for the power supply. So we are ready to pop this bad boy open and get this thing plugged in. Plug her in, fire it up. That's all we gotta do. Organize this crazy madness really quick if we can, so that our 24-pin power for our motherboard is going up here, and hopefully also not, fighting for a spot through this hole. Really don't feel like dealing with this rubber grommet. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to be dealing with the rubber grommet. Waiting with me. Whatever, I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it in a second. Not messing around with it right now. CPU power. That's really it. Outside of that SATA connection for the case. Seriously, this was annoying. Alright, CPU. This is actually going to be a big pain in the butt to get to. Put this massive cooler in here. But it's okay. We didn't have a semi-modular option today for this build, so we had to suffer through the pain trying to get this thing plugged in. Come on. After the fact. Just need to remember how much modular power supplies are worth. Okay. Perfect. Got it in there. Nice. Now all we gotta do is clean this up a little bit on the backside and Fire it up. We did kind of move some cables around and made a little bit of a mess. There we go. Cable management is good for this build. Very good. Excellent. There she is. So we're ready to fire this bad boy up and see what it looks like. Move on to the next build. See what it looks like. Hit it. I'm going to sync the fans up to the motherboard there. We have a post, but it's got to finish its process here. Nice little build. This thing will be a badass office PC, FYI. And when you're ready to game, slap a video card in there. You could do a little bit of light gaming right now, but slap a video card in there and you got some horsepower. Ready to go. All right, guys. I'm actually going to end the stream here today. I do have 1-2 more builds to do this week, for sure. I'll probably be doing those builds, if not tomorrow, Saturday for sure. So stay tuned, hang out, jump in on the next stream. I appreciate everybody that came in and hung out with us. And until next time, happy gaming. Have a good night, guys.